So a strong performance all round, apart from a few segments, but take us over the period that was, because what we have seen is above inflation increase on some of the costs that have actually come through, which seems to now also be affecting profits somewhat.
Yes, Bronwyn, we had a 9% growth in revenue for the 6 months and a 3% growth in EBITDA. In our gaming units in South Africa, we've had growth of between 4 and 6% in revenue. And with inflationary pressures on costs, such as property rates, utilities and employee costs being beyond inflation, that has diluted the margin somewhat. There have been some exceptions to that with our property in Durban, Sibaya, growing revenue and EBITDA quite strongly, as has Flamingo, the property which we have in Flamingo.
Botswana or?
In Kimberley, sorry.
Okay, in Kimberley.
Then our Chile business, Monticello, has done very well, growing revenue at 31% and with an improved margin, EBITDA at 90%. So that's come through.
And Rob, what's also very fascinating about Monticello is the fact that you've got 70% market share. That is down, however, around 9% from the previous year. Is this a bit of a concern for you that you are losing a bit of market share within this region? But as I mentioned, still strong, sitting at just below 70%.
Yeah. No, we have a competitor in the north of Santiago which opened later than us and is still establishing itself. So if we measure what we call fair share, which is your market share on gaming positions, we should be at 55%. So we still have much more than our fair share. So we're still very comfortable with that position.
Let's also just touch on some of the market share within the South African environment. We know that when you look at what Carnival City's market share is sitting at around 20%, that still needs to be improved on. What kind of scenario do you foresee into 2012? Of course, the competition is on basically across the country, given the fact that we're starting to see a bit of a recovery, consumer looking slightly better. But we know Pravin Gordhan actually threw in another curveball for the gaming industry as well.
Yeah, I think your first question talked to the market share at Carnival. I mean, Carnival at 20% is holding market share. It's lost a few percentage, well, not points of a percent. But, you know, you have ups and downs in the reporting period, so we're not overly concerned about that. I think to talk about the changes that came through in the budget, the 1% additional national levy is obviously a concern to us. It's quite a big number. And I think the concern is where, you know, how far does that go?
Let's just also touch on Botswana, and we're looking at a very good EBITDA margin sitting at just above 30%, but again, much lower than the previous year, given the fact that, again, we saw those cost increases coming through and Botswana operations are impacted there.
Yes, we have had a few cost increases in Botswana, but we're not overly concerned. We're still comfortable with the performance there.